Hi, welcome to Fusion Beads. I'm going to show you how to make our hexagon earrings. These earrings feature the sterling silver 30mm hexagon open frames by Nunn Design. I filled the frames using 26 gauge silver artistic wire in 3mm Swarovski Crystal Bicones in Indicolite, light turquoise, and light Azore. For my ear wires, I went ahead and I chose these TC blank ear wires where you can form your own loop and add beads to embellish. And I went ahead and I added a 4mm Swarovski Crystal Bicone bead in Indicolite for an accent. For my tools, I'm using the Lindstrom long chain nose pliers, the Lindstrom round nose pliers, some basic wire cutters, and then I have a little bit of Hypo tube cement to dab on the ends of my wire when I'm all complete with my earrings. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to review this pattern real quick here so we get a good idea of how we're doing this component. So the component is filled with 9 rows of beads, and starting from the bottom, moving my way up, my first row here has 6 Indicolite beads. Second row has 7 Indicolite. The third row is 2 Indicolite, 4 light turquoise, and 2 Indicolite. The next row is 2 Indicolite, 2 light turquoise, 2 light Azore, 2 light turquoise, and 2 Indicolite. My next row, which is my widest row, it's at the widest point of the component, is 2 Indicolite, 2 light turquoise, 3 light Azore, 2 light turquoise, and 2 Indicolite. And then from this point on, it just is a mirror image of the bottom. So the next one is 2 Indicolite, 2 light turquoise, 2 light Azore, 2 light turquoise, 2 Indicolite. And then my next one is 2 Indicolite, 4 light turquoise, 2 Indicolite, and then I have a row of 7 Indicolite and 6 Indicolite. And as you can see on the side of this component here, when I went ahead and wrapped my wire for stringing my bicones, I did an individual wire for each row. And I made extra wraps here on the side so that it was like, so it had continuous wraps, so there's no spaces. If you'd rather just, do a couple wraps here on one side to secure it on each side, that's fine too. I just chose to do some extra wraps because it helps space out your bicones too. Because as you can see, depending on how many bicones you have in your row here, they either kind of interlock or they sit kind of point to point. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, to start, I'm going to go ahead and cut about 6 inches of wire. I'm going to go ahead and I always like to run the wire through my fingers to kind of work harden it a little bit. And also it helps straighten out the artistic wire because it's coming off the spool, so sometimes it just helps straighten it out. Grabbing my component, I want to go ahead and I'm going to start at the bottom. You could start at the top. I wouldn't recommend starting in the middle on this design just because of the spacing of the wraps. It's better to start at the bottom or the top. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it over and wrap my wire on there. And I'm going to start with 3 good wraps. And the 3 wraps will get me just enough off the bottom of the component to slide across my bicones. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up 6 Indicolite bicones to start my first row. This is a great design to use in a lot of different colorways. I think this design would look really pretty if you did fuchsia rose and light rose. You could even do a solid color one. Or I was even thinking you could do like jet, crystal silver night, and crystal, and that could be really pretty too. So you could really customize this earring design to any color palette or outfit that you might have in mind. So go ahead. So you got your 6 beads across there. I'm going to go ahead and do my 3 wraps on the other side. Again, make sure that your wraps are going down on both sides, not one's going down and one's going up. Then that way it looks nice and uniform on the sides. So go ahead and just got my 3 wraps. It's nice and it's tight and it fits in there. Then I'm just going to go ahead and trim it with my cutters and try to cut as close to the component as possible without cutting any of your supporting wires there. And then I just use my chain nose and I go ahead and I do tuck it in just a little bit just to help it not get caught as I am continuing to work on the component. All right. So our first little row is done. It looks like that little bottom is still popping up there, so I'm just going to hit it again. There we go. Okay, so my second row constructed in the same fashion as the first one. Instead of using 6, you use 7. So again, take one piece of wire and you anchor it on your component. I'm going to go ahead and anchor it with 5 wraps. And the reason you do so many wraps is that helps space out the beads so that they lay inside the component and not on top of each other. Okay, so I've got my 5 wraps there. I squish it down next to my first row. I just kind of pull it straight. And now I just string on 7 of the Indicolite. This design could also be really cute in just seed beads. You'd obviously have to figure out your spacing a little bit differently, but that could be a fun way to use up extra beads too. I think I might have one too many on there. 2, 4, 6, and there's 7. Dink. Okay, push it down here, then you pull it across, and then for the second one, which can be a little harder, you want to have this wire pop up in between the 2 rows. There. Then once you get it started, it's not too bad. You just pull it tight. Make sure it's not overlapping on the side. And then just push it up again. And again, you'll do this. You'll do 5 wraps on this side. Just want to make sure it's not laying over any other wires over there. And one more. Okay, so I got my second row done. Go ahead, again, just trim your ends. And if your tails start to pop up a little bit, it's okay. It's like, as we're working through, we'll go ahead and tuck those all in at the end. Okay. So I got 2 rows so far, and now I'm going to start my 3rd row. And this is where a little bit of the pattern comes in. Because on this row, you're going to go ahead and do 2 Indicolite, 4 light turquoise, and 2 Indicolite. So again, the same fashion as you did the first 2 rows. Go ahead and anchor your tail on there. And I'm going to go ahead and do 5 wraps again, just for the spacing. Okay, so I got it across there. Then I just pull my wire straight across there, just to kind of help straighten it out a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up my beads. So you do 2 Indicolite, 4 the light turquoise, and then 2 more Indicolite. And it's always good too, just to double check your pattern, because nothing's worse than if you string up a wrong bead and then you have to cut something out. So it's always good just to look through it, make sure you picked up what you thought you picked up. So my beads are going all the way across here, and again, on the opposite side, I want to do the same amount of wraps as I did the first time. So I just go ahead and do 6 wraps on there. Oh, excuse me, it's 5 wraps, I apologize. That's what I did on the other side. And again, make sure you pop up in between those 2 rows so that you're wrapping on there. And sometimes it can get a little harder to wrap on the side when you're doing the second time, just because it is pretty tight in there. And I just need one more, if I can get it in there. And sometimes if it starts to get kind of tight and you want it to get laid next to the wire, just grab your chain nose and then it really lays it down. So I'm going to go ahead and trim those off. I'm just going to tuck in that tail. As you can see, it kind of popped up there. That little one did too. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue my pattern that I talked about earlier and wire wrap the rest of my bicones on this component, and we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and I completed my component. It's all filled up with my pattern here. So I'm just going to flip it over and check to see if any of my tails need to be tucked in. If they do, just use your chain nose. Make sure everything's laying nice and flat. Then take your Hypo cement and you just need to just dab a little bit on the edges, just ever so much, just to keep the tails from getting snagged on your clothing or your hair. Go ahead and you do that for both sides. Doesn't take very much at all. Now that it's done for both sides, I'm just going to set that aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and make my ear wire. So using this ear wire blank, I'm going to go ahead and slide on my bicone. These are great ear wires to customize and to match your piece. I mean, you can put a metal bead on here, you could put some seed beads, you could really do anything. So they're kind of fun. Makes your piece a little bit more like custom. So gently do a bend without breaking your crystal with your chain nose pliers, just like you were going to do a simple loop. Then take your round nose and roll it back. Again, gently rolling it back to not break your crystal into a loop. And if it comes out and it's a little wonky, kind of like mine's a little sideways there, you just take your chain nose and you can adjust it here. So then you go ahead and you open it just like you would a jump ring to the side. You slide on your component that is complete, and then you go ahead and close it. And now you have this cute little hexagon earring. You can find all the products and tools to make this design at fusionbeads.com.